Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of May. So as far as my channel goes, May was a pretty slow month. I didn't get very many videos at all out. That's because everywhere else, May was kind of crazy. I did a lot of traveling and other things. At the beginning of the month, I went to New Orleans, which is somewhere I've wanted to go for since I was 10. I made my first YouTube short, which it's a strange format. I don't really like it. Don't love how it appears on your page, but I felt like it was the best thing to do because the reason I've always wanted to go to New Orleans was because of Gabriel Knight: Sins of the Fathers, which I played when I was a kid. Just loved the look of the city and the sound of the city in that game. So I've been wanting to go since then. So I finally went at the beginning of May. Went to so many of the locations from the game: Jackson Square, St. Louis Cathedral, the cemetery with Marie Laveau's tomb, the bayou, and the short was just sort of comparing game locations to real locations. A lot of them were very similar, although there were some differences. Like in Jackson Square, there's not actual vendors and buskers and everything in the square. They're sort of more around it. But it was an amazing time, like one of the most fun trips I've ever had. It's a city that's kind of crazy all the time, even like on a Tuesday evening, and it was so much fun. I also went on my first outdoor rock climbing trip during the May long weekend here in Canada, which was also good, a little bit humbling because everything is so much harder outside than it is in the gym, but that was a good time as well. And then I went to France at the end of the month, which was excellent. I got to see the Mediterranean. I've been to France once before, but that was in Paris. So this time it was more like the south of France, where I've always wanted to go. And I will have more to say about that at some point. I also have pictures of my various excursions on my Instagram if you want to follow me there. It's, oh God, I should probably know my own Instagram. It's like cannot_be_tamed, possibly. It's probably linked on my channel somewhere. You can find it. Other than that, there was a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure with Michelle and I talking about drinks and movies and games. You can check that out on the Point and Drink Adventure YouTube channel. I don't have any gaming related pickups. In fact, I think I should probably just cut that segment out of these because I rarely buy any physical games anymore. But let's go on to the games I played. Again, very busy month otherwise, so I didn't play a ton of things, but I do have some things I beat and a few things I retired. The first thing I finished was Gray Matter, and this is a game that I had been streaming over on Twitch on my Adventure Sundays. Gray Matter is Jane Jensen's game, a number of years after she made Gabriel Knight. This is about a magician who finds herself being the assistant to a neuropsychologist or something like that. Neurologist, neurobiologist, one of those things. And it's a point-and-click adventure game. It has 3D graphics, but the 3D graphics have evolved to a point where they're not offensive to look at like they were in Gabriel Knight 3 or something like that. I overall quite enjoyed the game. The voice acting was really good. I liked the puzzles quite a bit. One thing I really liked was that the main character, Sam? Let's call her Sam. She was trying to get into this club, the Daedalus Club, which is an exclusive magician's club. And in order to do that, she had to do these series of sort of scavenger hunt puzzles. And I really liked that aspect of the game especially. In addition to that, there's another mystery, which I found slightly less compelling, but overall it came together well. I did find at the end of the game, the last chapter or two, the writing and the plot and the character motivations kind of took a turn into the, really? But I generally enjoyed playing the game, even if I don't think it really stuck the landing. Also, a series that I've been talking about quite a bit over the last few updates is the We Were Here series. My friend Dylan and I finished off the series with the last one, which is called We Were Here Forever. It's the 4th game, and it's very similar to the others in that it's kind of like a co-op escape room game. You can only play it online, but it is available on PC and consoles as well, and it's all about communicating. In this one, there are more times where you're both sort of in the same room together having to do things, but a lot of it you're still separate, so you really need to be communicating on voice chat to say like what one person sees and what the other person sees, and sort of giving each other directions in order to solve the puzzles. This game was way longer than the first 3. Like the first couple were less than 2 hours. The third one was maybe 3 or 4. This one took over 10 hours to finish, and I really liked all the puzzles. It was quite buggy at times, like especially near the end of the game. It kept having disconnection issues, and then it would cause everything to bug out. We did have to like sort of restart the game a few times to fix things, but luckily it did a good job of saving our progress so that we weren't really losing any time or anything. But overall it was really great. The puzzles are a lot of fun. If you're into those kind of escape room games, I give this series as a whole a pretty high recommend. Another co-op game that I finished is Unravel 2. And Unravel is a game about a little yarn creature sort of going through the world. In Unravel 2, it is, I think it's only a co-op game, although that's probably not right. You can probably play it by yourself. But co-op, I was playing at couch co-op, and you have like the 2 little yarn characters, and they're each connected by a piece of yarn. And you use that for puzzle platforming and to get past obstacles. So like one person can sort of like fling themselves around like a tree branch or something, and then one can hold the rope while the other swings, or one can pull the other up. So it's just a lot of collaborating in order to get past the various obstacles. One thing about the game is that it is absolutely beautiful. Like graphically, it looks so much better than it really even needs to. It just like, the outdoor environments especially, they're just gorgeous. In terms of the story, I didn't know what was going on most of the time. As you're playing, you sometimes see these sort of figments of children in the background, and at first I thought it was a story about abuse, and then as it went on, I had absolutely no idea what it was about. But I didn't care that much because it was really more about the platforming that way. So I found the game got really good, especially as it went on. Like the last couple levels especially had some more like fast-paced platforming sections that I really enjoyed. And overall, it was just a really cute and charming game, and another one that I definitely recommend to play co-op. And the only other game I finished was Dredge, which is a sort of Lovecraftian-inspired fishing game. You are a fisherman, you arrive in this area, this sort of like series of islands, and you're basically fishing. So the fishing is kind of like a series of quick time events. You can get different fish based on the area, the depth of the water, the kind of rod you're using. So you catch fish, you sell fish, you upgrade your ship so that you can go to new areas. You can start like getting trawling nets or getting cages to catch crabs and get more things. But as things go, like especially as it gets late at night, things start getting weird. The fish start getting these weird mutations. You start kind of like hallucinating and having weird visions. And then there's a story where you're helping this rather sketchy seeming guy gather a series of artifacts that he needs to do something, which I'm sure isn't sinister. And I really liked the game. In terms of fishing, like I was definitely not being a completionist and like, oh, I need to catch every fish and fill out my little fishing glossary. But in terms of just sort of following the story, seeing what strange things there are, like finding sort of surprising monsters and creatures and places, I really liked it. I think I played it for maybe 10 hours or so. Overall, had a very good time with it. There were also a couple games I decided to retire this past month. The first is one that I was actually really looking forward to based on sort of previews I had seen. It just seemed like a game that was right up my alley, and that is The Pale Beyond. And it is a resource management, survival, visual novel game, which is like resource management, survival, like totally my jam. I love those. You play you don't start as the captain. You play someone going on an expedition way up into the snowy, icy waters. You're looking for this lost expedition, and things go wrong, obviously, and you have to make decisions. So, like, the crew will come to you with requests. You have to decide whether or not you want to grant them. You have to decide how much fuel you want to spend on the fire, how much food you want to give everyone every day, how you want to allocate your resources in terms of you've only got so much crew. Who are you going to send out hunting or fishing? Who are you going to dig up new coal or look for resources and things to burn? That kind of thing. And I really quite enjoyed it for a while, and then I just found it got too difficult. I was getting not too far in, like less than halfway in, and my entire crew would just die. And you don't have to start right from the beginning when that happens. Like, your game will save at every week, so you can always just decide to go, back to a certain week. But as I was playing, I never really felt like, oh, well, I made a bad decision here. If I could just go back and do something different, it would change. It was always just sort of like a slow dwindling of supplies, and then once one or two people died, it was just a snowballing effect that would happen. So I put a fair number of hours into it. I did end up sort of going from the beginning twice overall, but after I just got completely obliterated less than halfway through the journey, again, I decided I didn't really feel like playing anymore. But I don't know, if you're better at it or have more of a tolerance for repetition than I do, you might enjoy the game, because I did really like the writing and I did like the systems in the game. It was too hard and I didn't want to play it. And the second game I retired is Danganronpa 2. Danganronpa is like a kind of a visual novel, highly stylized murder mystery game. It feels very battle royale. It feels very anime inspired. I played the first game last year, I think, and I overall enjoyed it. I'm usually not a huge fan of anime things or that kind of visual novel, but it was just like so stylish and interesting and novel that it kept me playing all the way through, even though I had some complaints about it. So in this game, you play the sort of everyman character. You're in a high school, apparently, with a bunch of characters who are all the best at something, which is the exact same conceit that the first game has. And then you're basically told, y'all have to kill each other and then have trials every time someone's murdered and find out who the murderer was, or else you all die. So it's sort of the same idea, the same villain. The characters I found this time around were even more obnoxious than they were in the first game, and my main complaint was just sort of like starkly staring me in the face, which is that no one will ever shut the fuck up. They all talk so much. Every sentence is repeated, or the basics of every sentence is repeated 4 to 6 times. Like in the class trial, for example, when you're trying to determine who the murderer is, you will hear the same information over and over and over. And then when you get to the end of it, you have to put the whole sort of sequence of events together, which is basically just doing the same information over again. And just so much time could have been cut out if they had just cut out 75% of the dialogue and just focused on those cool murder mysteries. So I played through, I think I did 2 class trials, which was like 3 or 4 days in the game, and decided that I wasn't having fun. Everything took way, way too long, and I sort of feel like playing the first game scratch the itch to experience that series, and unless the series does something incredibly different in a later game, I probably don't need to go back to it. And lastly, I just want to talk about Redfall a little bit. I have not beaten Redfall. I've also not retired Redfall. Me and my Wednesday game night group have been looking forward to this one for a while because we're always looking for 4-player co-op games, and monster shooters are sort of one of our favorite genres, or the genre that sort of works best for us. And I have to say, Redfall is not a good game. I would never play it solo. The thing is, my expectations were very tempered from the beginning, because even though it had like vampires and things that I was interested in, I've actually never liked playing an arcane game. Like Dishonored and Prey, they all look amazing. They have worlds I want to explore and get to know more of, but I have never actually enjoyed the feeling of my hands on the controller controlling the character in an arcane game. I can't play them for more than like an hour before giving up. So with knowing that, I was kind of like, well, I hope this feels better. So I actually like playing this more than arcane games usually. I find the guns actually feel kind of good. However, the problem is everything else. The AI in this game is so stupid. They have no object permanence. They often just stand there and don't see you, or they don't attack you. They're all kind of samey. The quests and things, again, all pretty repetitive, which is pretty... I was kind of expecting that, just given that it's sort of an open world game. There's some bugs and things which don't bother me that much, like the characters like to T-pose quite a bit. But I was definitely expecting a bit more in terms of story, like the story is told versus with just like kind of still images, which isn't that interesting. Also, the characters, there's 4 different characters and they each have a special ability. A lot of them are kind of useless, like the ability to jump high or summon an elevator. The character I play right now, you can summon an elevator to take you up somewhere, but it doesn't even take me high enough to like skip over cliffs and not have to find a way around them. There's quite a bit of loot in it, though I'd never feel like I have to look through it too much. I feel like it's fairly easy to manage. But overall, yeah, it's just kind of a mess in terms of the actual systems and, you know, its technical performance. But that said, having a group of 3 friends to play it with, we find our own fun. So we're enjoying going through the world and staking vampires and shooting cultists, and we're probably actually gonna finish it. We finished the first area of the map so far, and though no one thinks it's a good game, we're all happy to play it together. So yeah, disappointing, honestly. I wish they had sort of reconceptualized a lot of things in the game. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Redfall. I'll give some more when we finish the game, but overall, kind of disappointing, but, you know, not the worst. We've definitely played worse co-op games. Alright, that's it for this update. Lily has been here kind of on my lap the whole time. I just got home from being away yesterday, so she's kind of glued to my side. I'm like making a new dog out of her dog fur, which is exciting. But let me know what you played in May, if you got any interesting pickups, if you want to recommend any games to me. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.